Welcome back to our channel, where we help you understand the Bible more. Today, we're continuing our Bible in 5-minute series with 2 Kings, the dramatic conclusion to the divided monarchy in Israel. Part 1: Elijah's Ascension and Elisha's Ministry. The book opens with a bang. Prophet Elisha is taken up to heaven in a whirlwind, leaving behind his mantle, which he throws over the shoulders of Elisha, a young prophet. Elisha then does the unthinkable. He uses Elijah's mantle to part the waters of the Jordan River and gets himself across. And that's when he becomes the new Elisha. Elisha then does some pretty spectacular things, healing the sick, multiplying food, even raising the dead. All this shows God's amazing power and compassion, but also how he has raised up a new prophet to carry on Elijah's work. Part 2: God's Warnings to Israel. Meanwhile, the northern kingdom of Israel is still going strong with their idolatry. Despite all the warnings from God and his servants, the kings of Israel will not turn from their wicked ways. We have to remember that after the death of King Jeroboam, Israel had a whole parade of bad kings who just kept leading the nation deeper into sin. Remember, they had set up golden calves for people to worship in Dan and Bethel, rejected God's commands about how to worship him properly, and they continued to consult mediums and spiritists instead of seeking God. So God was very clear: if they did not repent, he would judge them, and their land would be taken by their enemies, the Assyrians. The prophets warned them again and again, but they refused to listen. So God let the Assyrians conquer Israel. He took the people away into exile and divided the kingdom among 3 of his enemies: the Assyrians, Babylonians, and Persians. Part 3: Judah's Struggle to Obey. Now, let's look at the southern kingdom of Judah. Here we see some kings like Hezekiah and Josiah try to get the people to obey God's laws and turn away from idols. But other kings like Manasseh completely abandon God and do evil in his eyes. King Hezekiah faces the threat of the mighty Assyrian Empire. But instead of depending on God, he pays a huge bribe to the king of Assyria to get out of trouble. Then Hezekiah gets sick and knows it might be the end for him. So he prays earnestly for deliverance. And guess what? God hears his prayer and protects Jerusalem from the Assyrians. Amazing. Later, Josiah finds a book of the law, which may have been Deuteronomy, and realizes how unfaithful Judah has been. He leads the people in a great revival, renewing the covenant with God and getting rid of the pagan shrines and altars. Part 4: Judah's Fall to Babylon. But even with these faithful kings, Judah still struggles with sin. God still has to discipline them. He sends prophets like Jeremiah to warn them to turn back to him, but they don't listen. So God allows the Babylonians to invade and destroy Jerusalem. They tear down the temple, burn the city, and take many, including King Jehoiachin, into exile in Babylon. Only a small group is left behind. It's a sad end to the Davidic monarchy, but remember, this is a story you've probably heard before Jesus came. God's people were taken captive by the Babylonians, but God raised up Cyrus, the Persian king, to conquer Babylon and allow the Jews to return to Israel. We've got to remember that God keeps His promises. Part 5: God's faithfulness in exile. Speaking of God's faithfulness, notice how the book ends. It doesn't end on a sad note of judgment. It ends on a hopeful note. Although King Jehoiachin is in prison in Babylon, God causes the king of Babylon to release him from prison and treat him well. Remember, God promised David that one of his descendants will reign on the throne of Israel forever. And although there is a break in the Davidic line during the exile, God will fulfill this promise through Jesus Christ. While the exile is a terrible thing, the book reminds us that God is in control, even in exile. God will bring His people back to their land, and the Messiah will come from the tribe of Judah. Stay tuned for the New Testament to see how all of this unfolds. Well, that's 2 Kings in 5 minutes. What do you think? Did you learn something new? If this helped you, like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss our next video. Thanks for watching. See you next time.